welcome to a new episode number 9 of Top Tier Gaming Podcast. This is Nocturnal Mantis and your fellow companion,
Leo
Mr.
Pectus, 1986. I thought you were I thought you were leading me in, man.
I wanted you to cue in and jump in like, yeah, that's me. And I'm Leo Pectus.
This is how we do shows, everybody. I just want you to know there's no script at all, obviously. It's good to be working with you again, though, Phil. I appreciate you having me on. It's been a while since we talked. I miss you, man.
Same here, dude. I miss you too, bro. I miss you too. We haven't done one of these in a while, so I'm kind of excited that we're back at it again.
Collaborative event.
You know what I mean? All right, so let's get it started. These are the topics. Did you want to call them out this time, or?
Sure, yeah, I have no problem doing that. So we got a pretty good, decent list here for everybody today. Hopefully, type of thing that everyone wants to listen to. So first, we're going to talk about Sony announcing that they have downloaded feature for PS2 and PS4 games as part of PlayStation Now. Next topic up, we have Cyberpunk 2077, and just kind of our thoughts and opinions on that. We're going to talk about what we're playing currently or recently even. We're going to jump into the fresh story about Telltale Games, and they're basically shutting their doors, so kind of a bad news story there. We have some Devil May Cry 5 topics to go over. We're going to touch on graphical downgrades in games and how we feel about that. Do we really care? The animated Diablo series coming to Netflix that was announced, and to kind of top it all off, the also recent news about Final Fantasy composer Nobuo Uematsu falling ill, canceling all of his projects and work. Something that I think touches a lot of gamers. So, like I said, pretty big docket. But Phil, if you want to jump on in, we can kick it off with the first one about PlayStation Now.
PlayStation Now. So it was originally a streaming service. We talked about the company that was being bought out a long time ago. Now you're able to download PS2 games and PS4 games while subscribing through their service. And I know that my feelings about it are hit and miss. I know that I would fucking love it if PS3 was able to be able to download and play. That's something I've forgotten about before. But PlayStation 4, I think it'd be cool. It's a little shut out, of course. It's their way of competing with the Microsoft's Game Pass. If they release new titles right away in this subscription for PlayStation Now, and I think a lot of people are gonna dig it because not a lot of people have money to spend every year, almost every month on $60 games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely a financial benefit there, and it's funny too. You were saying you wish that they had a lot of PS3 games to be downloaded as well as part of this.
That's one thing I just realized, that the PlayStation 3, you're not able to download the games. You can only stream.
Yeah.
Them. And that's
Actually,
like most
I didn't
of
catch that either.
my experiences with Sony was at a height when it was the PS3, and I think for me the nostalgia level will be fucking even higher if it was the PlayStation 3 I was able to download and play.
That makes sense. I actually didn't think about that either until you just said it, which is kind of funny. Like you, I kind of have mixed feelings here. So you said the nostalgia piece, and that's big. I mean, I have a lot of PlayStation 2 titles that mean a lot to me, like Tales of the Abyss, Soul Calibur 3, Radiata Stories. There's a lot of good games from that era. All right, so a little bit of deja vu. We had some technical difficulties here. Yeah, right. I was starting to say that with the PlayStation Now, you had touched on the nostalgia piece in terms of going back to some of those older games and reliving it, and that's great. But you personally know this. For our listeners who don't, I was the guy that held on to like the 60 gigabyte fat PS3 forever.
Right.
So I had that backwards compatibility function, and at the end of the day, if I really want that experience, I could just plug that in now and do it.
Right.
My other thought is it's about damn time because I think it was 3 years ago in 2015 when Sony announced that they were purchasing Gaikai for this for this purpose to stream and download older content that they had in
Right.
their library.
Right.
So it took them a while to make good on that promise, and I'm glad that they are. But for me, $100 a year or $20 a month for the service to subscribe to it,
Right.
it's more than I would be willing to pay. But I'm glad they're giving options. You
Mm-hmm.
can never go wrong giving your player base more features and more options. So they're definitely going to touch on a demographic of people that want this. I just don't necessarily think it's for me personally.
Right. Yeah, and I kind of agree with you with there too. We could just pull out our old systems and go through that route. If you really want that nostalgia itch to be scratched,
Right.
um, I wouldn't mind giving it a try. Maybe do the 3 month subscription and just see how it feels. Maybe give it a try, but
That's a good point too, because you said that it's $30 for 3 months, and that sale ends tomorrow, the 25th of September, if I'm not mistaken.
that's correct on the
Yeah,
twenty
so
fifth. So if you're
anybody listening to it, grab it now. Jump on board if you want
yeah.
it.
I mean, there's also the 7 day trial. So if you haven't tried it at all, then that's totally worth it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um,
Just make sure with that, when you do the 7 day trial, I'm only speaking from experience, you have to make sure to go into your system and manually select it not to automatically subscribe, because if you don't, after the 7 days are up, it will bill your card on file for
yeah,
PlayStation Plus automatically. So
right,
start it up and immediately turn that option off, and then you can play your 7 days, try it out, and no risk.
right. Uh, yeah, yeah. That's all I can think of about it. But if they only did the PS3 download, man.
Yeah, I agree.
God, there was a few backlogs that my PS3 doesn't work anymore. So like, not even playing the digital stuff. Like the hard drive took a shit, and there was a lot of games, and every single song that we downloaded on Rock Band was on that fucking hard drive.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So you can imagine how like I was pretty upset, and that's one of the reasons why I sold my guitars and my fucking drum set and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was a bummer when it happened. It was like, oh my god, dude.
You just brought up a topic, man, real quick. It's completely unrelated to our topic list, but I feel like I need to share it. I have a friend out here. His name's Jeff. His gamer tag's commit to Excel. He owns all 2,500 and I think 24 Rock Band songs. He has down
Wow.
every single one of them. It's pretty crazy.
Including like what was it, the Beatles
Like,
and the Green
yeah,
Day.
Beatles, Rock Band, all of it, dude. He has every
Really?
single song.
Wow.
Now he's mad because he's a Sony guy like us, but he has them on Xbox. So he has an Xbox One just for Rock Band 4, just for his music library. It's crazy.
So he downloaded it all on his PS3.
No, he did it originally on the Xbox,
Oh, okay.
and he is a Sony guy. Like he prefers PlayStation.
Oh
Because
man, I feel it. I feel the
yeah,
pain.
he can't move away from Xbox now because he's got thousands of dollars of songs on there.
Right. Oh man, that sucks, dude.
So you just gotta come out and visit me, and we can play any song you want, man. Problem
Hell
solved.
yeah, that'd be awesome. Or you could just borrow his Xbox One, ship it
Just
back
steal
at him.
it. Anyway, yeah, I know that was off topic, but I figured that's a fun story. So,
Yeah,
so you want to jump into the next one, Cyberpunk 2077?
let's do it. Cyberpunk. I mean, okay, so I asked you what your thoughts was it about the game. Like, are you excited about it or?
Yeah. So I was mentioning when I let me start over. Recently, I think it was at Gamescom, if not E3, they came out with like an hour-long video demo, like an actual trial of the game, and they put it in video format. And I've avoided that video on purpose.
Okay.
Now, I did that because at the end of the day, I know very little about the game. I know it's been in development for a while. I've seen some stills. I kind of have a general idea of the premise. It feels like Witcher 3 meets Destiny to me.
Okay.
You got your first person shooter element of it, but it's also got a very robust character development system, and it seems to be like a very big world full of free exploration. So I'm probably going to get this game. I feel pretty good about it. And if I do, I want to go in pretty much blind. so that's why I've been avoiding a lot of the content on it.
Right.
But it does look good. I am a little bit hyped for it from what I know. So what do you think?
Um, I did the same thing as you did. I avoided that most recent trailer or walkthrough or whatever it was, and I am excited for it. I am hoping that it's gonna have that feeling of what we talked about earlier, that feeling of Destiny crossover with Witcher 3, and what I'm hoping for is a little bit touch of like Grand Theft Auto, with all mixed up together like a good fucking mixed drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Get me drunk on your power game.
exactly, let me get wasted on your game, dude, and just get immersed with the hopefully a lot of lore, hopefully a really good story, because like I was mentioning, we mentioned Destiny, and that was a big disappointment to me. Even though part two is free, I downloaded it. I didn't even play it yet.
Yeah, I don't really
I'm,
care
I'm
much about
just
it.
I'm just like I'm disappointed with it. I don't know why this is in our topics, but we're hoping that it has that feeling in Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right. I mean, Destiny 1, I played for 3 months, right when it came out, and it never hooked me.
yeah.
Like you said, the storyline was just not well written. It didn't have a lot of depth there. So if they could take that kind of combat system and
Uh,
mechanics, the gameplay, and put it into a world where the story is great, then yeah, they got a home run there, I think. So I'm hoping.
completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. Yeah, that we're not going to be seeing it anytime soon. They don't have a release date for it, of course. I'm assuming late 2019, early 2020.
I think you're right about that. And I think I remember reading somewhere that they have two projects, Cyberpunk and then something else, that both have to be released by 2021, I think it was, due to contractual obligation.
Oh wow,
So it makes sense then that
21.
Cyberpunk would. Yeah. So I
Oh,
feel like
okay.
Cyberpunk would have to be 2019 then, and leave them the other 2 years to work on that second, title. So you're probably right about that estimate.
What's that second title?
I don't recall. I think it's unnamed. I don't know that they've announced what it is yet. Just that they have two projects that they're completing that studio.
Right. Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
I forgot where I saw it. It might have been IGN because I was trying to do a little research without spoiling anything too much,
Right.
to be able to have what I could talk about. And I did see that across my travels. So
That's interesting. I had no idea that they had another title going. That makes sense, though. You know.
right, it's kind of like movie deals anymore. You plan
Right.
out a few in advance and pace them, every couple of years.
Right.
So, what? Any other closing thoughts about that? Hype, excitement, anything?
Other than what we already know, no, not really.
All
I just
right.
wanted to bring that up during our topics to have something to talk about, and that's one of the games I'm looking forward to. Even though that feels like one of the furthest games to be released,
Right.
that we
I hear
know
you.
of so far. Unless it's like, what other games that have been promised that has a far Final Fantasy 7. And
Yeah.
yeah,
uh,
that's
yeah.
another game that's really far away that a lot of us are, I think, are forgetting about.
Very excited about though. A bit like you said, at this point, it's starting to fall off of everyone's mind because they just keep, delay, 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 delay.
Right.
And Square Enix fans are used to that. I think at this point, they always seem to come out with games at a slower pace than they should. But
Right.
anyway, that kind of transitioned nicely into the next topic of what are we playing right now, Mantis? What are we spending our gamer time on?
Um, lately, fucking mobile games. But I did recently finish Detroit Become Human. Um, Pretty badass game. It really ties into the player choices, to outcomes and consequences of your choices, which I think is like the future in gaming, honestly. Because if it's
Hmm.
more dynamic like that, you get more immersed. You know what I mean? It's like, oh shit, I stubbed my toe in that last scene. Now I'm limping to chase this guy, or for whatever the consequences may be of what you're doing. Really affects your gameplay, which I think is like the future in gaming.
Yeah,
Um,
It almost has to be that or virtual reality or both. You know.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? That just brought up another game that has the same kind of mechanics. It's like Life is Strange. Have you played that one before or no?
Yeah. I have. That's a heck of a good. I don't want to say like a mental ride, but I mean it's kind of really what it boils down to. Is it's all cerebral. You know.
Right.
It's very fun though.
Um, what else am I playing? I'm playing Star Trek Online.
Oh, okay.
Uh, mainly
How's that?
for it's fun. I like it. I mean, a lot of people don't like it. Graphics do look like a PS3 game, like an early PS3 game. But they recently, not recently, I think it's been like a year or two since they released it on consoles, and I've been off and on that, and I'm liking it. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. For free to play, it's totally fun. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It brings back a lot of nostalgia for when I used to watch the Next Generation back in the day. So I'll be on the ship that like I'm currently watching the TV show. Like I'm watching the Next Generation, so I'll use the Enterprise D or whatever. And
Oh,
when I start
nice.
playing or when I start watching like Voyager or something like that, I'll start using the Intrepid class ship or whatever, just to go follow along with the TV show. It's fun. It kind of gets addicting because there's a lot of grinding, but kind of fun grinding in a way.
Okay.
But yeah, that mobile games and what else? What else am I playing? Did I just recently download something?
Oh, I'm sure you did. You said Destiny 2, but you didn't touch it.
Yeah, I didn't touch it. What was the other one? The Resident Evil remake, the first one.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about that myself, actually.
Simon picked that up, and I was surprised that he bought it. I'm like, what? I didn't think he would be like much of a Resident Evil guy as much as like me and you are.
Yeah.
Um, so I picked that up. I'm like, okay, I'll play it since remake of Resident Evil 2 is coming out. Why not, right?
Yeah, two's the greatest one too. I can't
Really,
wait for
I
that.
never played it.
You never. Oh
I
my
never
God,
played the second one. Yeah,
you're,
I played the other ones,
you're
but never got to the second one. For some reason, never had the money in it or the time to remember to buy it. You know what I mean?
uh, my parents would laugh at me because I would go to Blockbuster and I would rent two on the N64 over and over again. Like I had already beaten it several times, but there was just so many little unlockables. Like you know how those games are.
Yeah,
If you finish at certain speed, you unlock this and that. And
yeah.
I just absolutely loved the freaking story in two. I thought it was great. So you're gonna love it, man.
Oh
You're
wow.
you're in for a wild ride. That's
You just
cool.
actually brought something up that I heard over on a different podcast, and I wanted to see if this something happened to you, and it happened to me. Um, would you have rented it so many times? Does it still have your original save, or
So wait. What do you mean exactly?
okay,
Like the
you
cartridge?
yeah, the cartridge. You went to go to Blockbuster to rent this game over and over. Was your save still on it all the time, or would it get deleted and you have to play it all over again?
It
And
would
you
get deleted sometimes. Now it depended. If I walked in there ready to return it and just said, "Hey, can I re-rent this again for another 3 days or 5 days?" Then they didn't have to necessarily process it back in, and
uh-huh.
I could keep it. And sometimes I did that, but I never had a time where I dropped it off legit, come back, rent it again, and then my game was there. You know how people were? They were jerks. They would just delete stuff to be assholes at that
Right.
point. So
How many how many memory slots was there?
three, I think the
Three.
typewriter had. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's one of the other things I was like kind of worried about. Well, not worried about, but thought about. That if the memory card in your 64 controller didn't hold the memory, it was the actual cartridge.
Yeah, it was the
Oh, okay.
cartridge. I'm pretty sure back in the day, but because that was before the expansion pack and the memory card really were used as much. Like,
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. It's one
I
of the
think,
launch title games then.
yeah, I think Star Fox 64 brought out the Rumble Pack, and then that also started bringing out memory card and everything else
Yeah,
after that.
yeah.
Uh, anyway, again, I like these tangents. I hope our listeners do too.
That's yeah. It's one of the cool things about doing that because I did that. Man, I don't remember. I think it was what was the fucking place that I rented games at? But it was in North Hollywood on Burbank Boulevard. That building's like gone now, but back in the day, me and my brother would go over there and rent a whole bunch of kinds of fucking games. Fucking NES, SNES.
I know
They
what
they
one you're
had a
talking about,
they had a
actually.
whole bunch of really. It was on
Yeah,
Blue.
it was.
It was on Burbank and what was the cross street? Lakersham, I think. It was
Yeah,
like a
yep,
block down,
yeah, that's
behind
right.
like a Mexican restaurant next to a haircut place.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
near Studio City, or not
do you?
Studio City, City Walk rather. It was down close to that end of the valley.
Yeah, in that general area. Do you remember the name? Oh God, I don't
I
know.
don't. I don't. It was a mom and pop shop, and
Yeah,
I
it
only know
was.
because I only know it because I went there and bought Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6 on the PlayStation. Like they
No
rented and sold.
shit,
Yeah.
man. We were like we could have read each other when we were younger.
Yeah. My dad
Oh,
took me all the way down there. I remember I was like in ninth grade or something at the
oh
time.
wow. Yeah, I think I was. I don't know what was I. 12th grade. Yeah, I was 12.
Yeah. So, but
Anyway.
Resident Evil remake, that's something I think is going to be on my agenda as well because
Right.
I played it on the GameCube back when they first remade it.
Right.
It was great back then.
Yeah.
For
Well,
me,
what are you playing? We totally jumped off the bar there.
it's all right. You mentioned mobile games, and not to be the basic bitch, but I am playing Pokemon Go a lot. So I'm out there on the my phone's tapping screens and stuff, and looking like I'm standing in a group of people, just sitting there.
Nice.
Um, but no, I'm on Final Fantasy 14 still. That's the MMO for those of you who don't know. It's been
Right.
out for technically it's been out for 8 years, but the current version has been 5. I've been playing it the whole way through,
Right.
and the gameplay is starting to get a little tired to me. They
Uh-huh.
haven't added a lot of mechanics to the game to change it. The storyline's still phenomenal. It's the only reason why I haven't quit because every patch when they bring out more story, I'm just like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah.
But then most of the time I'm just not logging in. I do the story updates, I do whatever the new bosses are, and then I just usually don't touch it as much until the next patch comes out because I don't care. I'm
Right.
just
Also, you don't do your weekly get-togethers anymore.
no, I stopped doing that about a year ago because
Really?
yeah, they had me running the groups, and here's the problem, and it's a fundamental issue with any MMO, and this is gonna sound like I'm a dick, and I don't mean to, but I'm a good player. And the way the content's designed, you need 7 other good players to get that stuff done.
Right.
And I was getting frustrated that my friends that I enjoyed playing with just weren't as good or weren't as dedicated to getting good and learning the fights or whatever. And we would waste hours every week not doing anything, like effectively failing over and over again and not ever beating it. Or we would eventually beat it, but it would
Right.
take way too long. And I kept thinking to myself, these are hours that I could be putting into other games to
Yeah.
exercise, whatever, socializing.
Yeah.
I just started getting really frustrated at the idea of spending that much time for no result.
Right.
So I broke the group up and I started just getting together with random people, which oddly enough was more successful for me than playing
Oh
with my
wow.
friends. I
Yeah.
could talk with people I didn't know, and they were good enough to get the fight done. So that's what I started doing, and I am not doing that this current rotation. They literally last week just had a big update with new raid bosses, like they brought out Omega Weapon, if you remember that from the old
Yeah.
games, and all that stuff. And I haven't even messed with it yet because I just
Hmm.
don't have the desire. But I
Right.
might. I'm through with it. Anyway, what I'm really
Well,
putting my time.
do video because I do watch them. I do watch the Final Fantasy ones
Okay, yeah,
as much
I
as I
could probably,
can.
yeah, I'll get something up there. It's been a while since I've
Yeah.
done anything like that. Um, But what I'm really dumping my time into right now is Dragon Quest XI. And let
Okay.
me tell you, for those of you that haven't played the series, or maybe you played the old ones and haven't touched it in a while, this is a game that is worth your money. Akira Toriyama, the same artist that does Dragon Ball, he's always done the art for this series, or I think he's always done the art at least for a very long time. Um, and to see that classic style modernized with 4K resolution and just beautiful landscapes. The game visually is so pretty, but it's just a nostalgia wet dream
Right.
in a lot of ways, right? Uh, but the gameplay is just your traditional turn-based JRPG. When you get into battles, you can move your characters around while like the menu options there, like your attack, magic, item menus there. You can run
Oh,
around
okay.
the arena, so to speak, and
Right.
position yourself, and then click the attack button if you want to. It does seem
Oh,
to affect things like critical hits and dodging and whatnot a
right.
little bit. Or you could just sit there and play like an old game and just keep hitting X, and pick your spells and not worry about it. So
Oh, okay.
it's
Ooh.
pretty neat. I am about 70 hours in, and I just reached the halfway point in the story, like the big midpoint story twists. So it's a huge game with a lot of content.
70
And
hours, only halfway.
yeah, yeah. I think in the menus it shows you like how many of the items out of the game you've earned. I'm at like 300 out of like 700 items. Same for like the enemies. So yeah, I'm like halfway through, and it's a lot of stuff to do in the game. So really good time, especially if you're just craving that turn-based feel.
Uh huh.
Um, I also recently went back and platinumed several games that I was close to doing, over the last year or two, but just never did. Tales of Berseria, Persona 5, even Final Fantasy 7, which is why when you mentioned the remake, I said this transitions well. I was just playing the original and got the platinum on that. But I'm more looking forward to the next couple of months because I've got Soul Calibur 6 in a few weeks. Tales of Vesperia finally, after 10 years, coming to a Sony system where I
Yeah,
can finally
yeah.
play the game. Kingdom Hearts 3, of course, is coming in a few months. Battlefield 5 is in November. So I've got, 4 or 5 titles in the
So
next few months.
you're picking up Battlefield 5?
Yeah, I think I'm going to. I have it pre-ordered. I
Yeah,
missed the beta completely, which sucks because it was queued for download on my system and
yeah.
it never actually did it. I don't know why.
It felt good. I like the gameplay. The spotting system changed, but I think it makes it more of a challenge. It makes people pay attention more for when you're calling out a direction or a general area for where enemies are.
Okay.
It does like sometimes it'll mark the guy, and it will only last for a few seconds. But generally, when you mark an area, it points at the section and it says the name of the area, like townhouse or shipping yard or whatever, and that sits there for a few seconds. Other people can see it, and then it fades away. You got to pay attention to that when people start calling out the area, because like sometimes that could generally mean not just one guy; it could be like several guys. You know what I mean?
Right. That's it. So it's no longer just like a little red blip over
Yeah,
their head.
there's you don't get a chance to aim at the triangle anymore.
No.
If that's what that's what I used to do. Is like, oh shit, I'm just gonna aim in the general direction of
The little
the
marker.
triangle, and
Yeah.
yeah, you done none of that. And I think accuracy in the game is really good. The bullet drop is I think is improved compared to 4. Guns, obviously, you'd be using World War II. I haven't tested the flying.
Oh,
As soon as I
that's what I
got
was gonna
into
ask.
plane,
Damn it! I
as
was
soon as I
literally
got, I mean, dude, I tried. As soon as I got into plane, I was like, I know I have to set up the controls. I haven't done it. So the first thing I got into the plane, I just literally did a flip over, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm upside down, and I'm like, all right, I can adjust myself, and I just nose dive into the ground, and
Perfect.
so I'm like, okay,
That's what I was gonna ask next is how does vehicles feel? Because you know me, I was the
vehicles
tank
felt
and
good.
helicopter guy.
Vehicles
So
felt good, and it's very dynamic how you get in and out of it. So if you're trying to escape or get out of the tank with someone's trying to C4 that shit, you better time it quick.
you can't just
You gotta
hop
have
out.
yeah. It's not just hopping out. No, it's actually you opening up the hatch and climbing out of it, and then
That's
and jumping off the fucking tank, so you're able to run or escape the explosion. So you chances are you're gonna fucking die. Chances are you're gonna die getting out or opening
yeah.
up the door.
Fuck.
It's like, oh fuck. So I the workaround with that is actually having tank support,
Yeah.
having troops on the ground and is able to watch for anyone who's trying to missile you or C4 you to be able to take out those guys or call them out or whatever.
Sounds like a designated squadron effort that we could do back,
Yeah.
when that comes out. So that's neat.
You
All
don't
right.
cool
The
thing.
only other thing.
Cool thing
Oh,
you
go
don't
ahead,
have.
sir.
I'm sorry. Cool thing is that you don't have to be a medic to save your own teammate.
That's cool. It's just enhanced if
Yeah.
you are, like, you do it faster or better or whatever.
Yeah, you're faster when you're a medic. Yeah.
But otherwise, everybody can do it. So that's
Yeah.
pretty neat. That's a good enhancement because that role in those games felt a little silly with their light machine guns and then just the defibrillators. That's pretty much all they did was run around and revive.
And
They
you're
didn't really.
stuck as that character. Yeah.
So the only other thing I was going to say is a friend of mine let me borrow the new Spider-Man. I haven't played it yet. I hear
Ooh,
nothing but great things about
me
it, though.
too.
Everyone says it's phenomenal. So I'll probably crack that open once I finish Dragon Quest because I just really am immersed in that game's story and I want to
Right.
finish it.
He lent
Uh,
it to you? What, so you already beat it?
yeah, he got a platinum on it in five
Holy
days. Apparently,
fuck.
it's not
Oh,
that
wow,
hard.
it's that easy?
Yeah, apparently. So that's
Well, I
another reason.
mean, I'm assuming it's that good of a game and you got addictive, so you're playing more of it in just those few days.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I figure it's a low investment title as far as time's concerned, right?
Oh, okay.
So
I think I'm gonna
I'll
pick it
probably
up.
do. Yeah, I think it's worth it. But yeah, so moving on to the next topic though, Telltale Games and their layoffs. Now this, I think this affects a lot of people. When I was reading the articles as they came out a couple of days ago, I think it was on Friday,
Uh huh.
this past Friday. I think I saw numbers that they've fired everybody except for I believe it's 25 people in the
Yep.
company that pretty much just support like the CEO and the head uh, operations more or less.
Right.
Um, huge loss of jobs for a very talented studio that brought us very niche titles. Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, things like that
Yeah.
that a lot of people were really
Back to
into.
the Future, Game of
Yeah.
Thrones, Borderlands, like stories to Borderlands. I think that did. I got it on the screen right here. It's I got a little image uh, slideshow going on. It's Minecraft story mode. You know, there's a
Which I mean,
whole
that
bunch
one
of
might have
them.
been away, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be playing that, but yeah, Wolf Among Us, Monkey Island, Jurassic Park. I mean, I didn't know they made Jurassic Park a game. You know?
Yeah, yeah. So it's sad. I mean, you never want to see anybody lose their job, especially a game studio that's been in the industry for a few years now and made a name for itself. And it's a shame that despite all of their popularity, it didn't translate to sales.
Right?
They just didn't get the money they needed to stay afloat. So
Yeah.
that sucks. But what are you thinking about it? What do you think the next move for those, game producers, coders, animators? What do you think they do next?
Um. Honestly, I think they're gonna try to save it. I think they're gonna try to save it, of course. What they need to do is charge their games a little bit more, because their games were inexpensive, and that's what made it popular. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got a tweet here. Let me put it on the screen real quick. What is it? Shift two. Yeah, there we go. This is what they tweeted on the 21st at 2:33. This They said today Telltale Games made the difficult decision to begin a majority studio closure following a year marked by insurmountable challenges. A majority of the company's employees were dismissed earlier this morning, with a small group of 25, like you said, employees staying to fulfill the company's obligations to its boards and partners. CEO Pete Howley, I think I pronounced that right, issued the following statement: "It's been an incredible, difficult year for Telltale as we work to set the company on a new course. Unfortunately, we ran out of time trying to get there. We released some of our best content this year and received a tremendous amount of positive feedback, but ultimately that did not translate to sales, like you said. With heavy heart, we watch our friends leave today to spread our brand for storytelling across the game industry. Telltale will issue further comments regarding this product portfolio in the coming weeks." So yeah, sad, very sad, because I've played quite a few of them, especially the Walking Dead series. I wanted to get into the Batman. I actually had downloaded recently as soon as I found out about this. So yeah, I'm sad. There's never It's never good to have a company go down, people losing their jobs, and of course for the fans as well. You know.
Right. The one thing that gives me hope is that like second to last sentence in his statement where he said to go out and spread the brand across the industry.
Right.
I feel like, these are talented people and there's no way other studios aren't going to scoop some of them up.
Oh
So I
yeah.
think we're still going to see some of that influence, maybe some of the art style or the storytelling and narrative structures
Right.
in other games. So I mean, at least there's that hope that it's not just going to disappear off the face of the planet.
Right.
But like you said, it still sucks in the moment for a lot of them, and some of those people might really struggle for a while, and that's
Right.
something you never want to see. So
Right.
um, moving on to definitely a topic that's a lot more positive, at least for me. Devil May Cry 5, and I'm excited about this. Uh,
That's why I put it
this
into topics, bro.
yeah, this series for me, and Mantis knows, I've always been a diehard. I even liked the recent reboot. I didn't have a problem with it. Um, it was fun. I liked the changes that they made to some of the dynamic gameplay. It felt even more like crazy and fluid than the older games did. Yeah, the new Dante and the new story was a little off, but I didn't hate
Right.
it. It's supposed to be a reboot. That's exactly what its intention was. So, all that said, I'm thrilled that they're going back to the original storyline in this one, and they're
Right.
finally continuing it on. There's a lot of really cool speculation already out about where this fits in the timeline, what the implications are with Nero, the main character from 4, is making the return as the main character in 5.
Yeah.
His relation to Virgil, Dante's brother, is it confirmed that he's the son and all that other stuff. So
Right.
there's a lot of cool things going on in there. Now there was two things that you brought to me separately that we could dig into a little bit.
Right.
The first was microtransactions.
Right.
The idea that microtransactions would be a part of this game to purchase the red orbs, the in-game currency.
Right.
Now, this does not bother me. I'm not a fan of microtransactions. I have my own beef with DLC if the studios are doing it the wrong way, like just as a cash grab.
Right.
But we said it at the top of the show. Giving your players extra options and features is generally a good thing. Like, I won't use it. I won't spend the money. I'll grind out the orbs and do it the legit way. But
Right.
I don't fault somebody who maybe just doesn't have the amount of time to put into the game,
Right.
but still wants to enjoy it. And they're like, well, here's $5. Let me
Yeah.
cut down some of my workload. So I'm not against that. But what do you think?
So you say it's for more the casual gamer, as far as
Yeah,
microtransactions go.
keep it approachable for somebody that might not have the dedicated amount of time.
Right. No, I see what you mean now. That brings up a lot of ideas for that. That like Battlefield, I'm assuming might have it as well. A lot of companies do microtransactions. There's no real way to escape it. It's just there. Just ignore it if it's in the game. Whatever. Just don't like. I hear a lot of people complaining and screaming. Um, for example, Angry Joe's like furious about it. I could care less, honestly. It's just an extra feature, just like you said. Um, but if it's the play to win, like if for multiplayer, then
Like
that's
Battlefront 2, that
yeah,
you
that's
can't do that.
different. That's different.
Yeah,
That's
I'm not a big
completely
fan
different.
because that just imbalances the game towards people that have extra money on their hands. And think
Right.
about it, a lot of teenagers, kids, even young adults that maybe haven't really established themselves financially yet, they're put at a disadvantage in something that they are supposed to be able to sit down and enjoy, and that's not fair. I
Right.
agree with you on that. Which ties in nicely to the other piece that you brought to my attention, the possibility of multiplayer in
Right.
Devil May Cry 5.
Co-op.
Yeah,
If
that would
that's
be.
okay, first off, who do you have to play with for that?
Were you asking who I would want to play with, or who do I think is going to be options?
Yeah, options.
Well, Nero, obviously.
Uh,
His I forget her name. The new chick that's his counterpart, like his business partner, will
right.
probably be an option.
Okay.
With some sort of, I would assume, heavy weaponry or equipment, because she seems like she's just a human. I don't think she has powers. She's like his
Right.
engineer, so she probably has like super crazy rocket launchers or like jetpacks or something that helps
Yeah.
her kind of keep up with the demons and shit. I'm sure Dante will have to be in there because they've already teased at him being in the game. And there's a third, people are saying, protagonist. We don't know for sure yet. In the single player mode that we're supposedly going to get to play as. So I'm assuming that individual would also make it into multiplayer if all that is true. They would be silly not to have Trish, Lady, and maybe even Kyrie from 4, although that would be a stretch for her. I think she's supposed to be dead in
Yeah,
this game.
that's what I heard.
Yeah, so and she never had powers to begin with, so unless something
Right.
crazy happened from the end of 4 till now where they want to like retcon something for her. But yeah, there's gonna probably be at least 8 people. As far as bad guys, they might have like maybe Angelo from not Angelo. What the heck was his name? The one guy from the church in 4 that was like around most of the game. They might have him.
Uh,
Sparta could be in there, and he's not bad, but they'd probably throw him in there as just like a demon form Sparta, who
right,
played
right, right.
them. But if it's true co-op,
Like who?
like,
Okay, on your friends list, who would who's gonna be buying it with you? Do you know?
well, hopefully you.
All
I'm
right,
saying.
at that point, yeah, you just volunteered me to buy the game then.
Honestly, I don't know a whole lot of people. My one ex Beth will probably get it. I know she's
Uh,
excited about it, and she's on my friends list. Um, there's a few people I know that like the series, but I'm trying to think of who's on my friends list that would actually get it. I'm not thinking of too many people off the top of my head, but I'll
okay,
probably be surprised. I'm sure I'll see people on it that I didn't expect, and then
yeah,
just be like, hey. But if it's true co-op, right, like what we're thinking it is, you'll
uh,
probably just play as Nero and the girl through the storyline. I
right,
would think.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
I think that's a lot of fun. Honestly, I think that would be a blast to have another co-op game like that. Like, remember back in the day, we play a whole bunch of Dead Space and co-op on
yeah,
that,
dude,
and
had
co-op
some
on
good
Resident Evil
games.
5. We like platinum that together, basically.
Yeah, exactly. We had helped each other through all of it. So I would love something like that again with you, or even friends in general
Yeah,
for our listeners. It's a great experience to have that.
yeah. Okay, so I had a question for you. What do you think of the Mega Blaster?
With his arm, you mean?
Yeah, Mega Man
Oh,
arms.
Mega Blaster. Okay, my bad. I was like, what are you talking about?
I mean, isn't
Yeah.
that? Don't you think that's a little cool? Like little like fucking
Well, because
throw in
Cap,
because of
because
Capcom. Of
Cap,
course, Capcom loves doing that shit.
yeah, they always put in little mixes from their other games and Easter eggs. It's cool. Is that a confirmed like pre-order DLC bonus, or what
Yeah,
is that? Is that going to be a game for sure, like for
it's
everybody, or?
apparently it's in the game when you purchase it. It's in the deluxe edition. Includes the full game following the additional content. Let's see, 4 exclusive devil. Yeah, the screen changed on me. But yeah, it comes with 4 like extra stuff, including the Mega Blaster from Mega Man.
That's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, yeah, I don't think it'll break the game too much. I'm sure early missions it'll
Uh-huh.
make easier, but like by the end of the game, you're gonna have stuff that outclasses it
Oh
anyway.
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm
But
sure
it's
you can
neat.
unlock it anyway. I don't think it's an exclusive thing.
It might be. I don't know though. I have no idea. So
Yeah.
they could do one of those things where it's just for the pre-order bonus people, and then you have to buy it otherwise.
Uh huh.
Uh, But it's cool because when you think about it, he lost his demon arm at the end of 4, and now why do I want to keep calling her Ruby? I don't know. Whatever the girl's name is, made him the mechanical arm. So the Buster, the
Yeah.
Mega Man Buster, makes sense. She could craft that. It almost fits the canon of the story. Like it's not like it's
Yeah.
completely in place.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I like it. I mess around with it, of course. Just charge up a big X Buster blast.
Yep. Yep.
um, but yeah, man. Are you excited about it? Were you planning on getting it before I kind of strong armed you into it?
Honestly, just hearing you talking about it makes me want to buy more. Like I did think about it. I don't know when is the release date for it.
Spring. They haven't given us an exact
Oh,
date, but
okay, okay, okay.
I assume like April, probably.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. That'd be a great birthday present for my girlfriend then.
Yeah.
If only
You're
she
like,
was
I
here to hear
totally
that.
for you, honey. I swear, you're gonna love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get her something nice in March. Her birthday's in March, so I'll be like, "Oh, there's a really cool game I want." No,
Totally for you.
I'll put little notes everywhere. Like, "Oh, I want this game. It's on my list," and I'll put
Uh,
like a sticky note here, a sticky note there. It's like, "Oh, fuck, this is gonna be awesome, Devil May Cry 5. I need it. I need it. I need it."
it's what your birthday's April 15th? Is it the
Yeah,
15th?
tax day.
Yeah. So that if that comes out around then, that'll be perfect.
Yeah,
Well, good stuff. Yeah, it's far enough out that again, money wise, there's a lot coming in the next 6 months. It's a little bit past that.
right.
Tax return season, like you said. So we'll see.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be a difficult purchase. I don't know that there's a lot else coming at that time of the year.
right.
So, but that's all I got for that topic. What about you?
I'm done. I'm good with it.
All right. So this one, I kind of want you to dig in a little bit because I think I know where your head was at, but the graphical downgrades and do we care? So what did you mean when you asked that
Okay,
question?
so I wrote this topic down. shit, like 2.5 weeks ago, and that's when Spider-Man was being accused of having graphical downgrades. And I was thinking, hey, does that really, really matter? Um, as long as they're upfront with it, yes. If they're not upfront with it and they're doing like stupid excuses or trying to be vague about it and shit, I think that's like, well, you're not fulfilling what you promised, you know. For example, also, what was that Ubisoft game, Watch Dogs, the first one? Huge, huge downgrade in graphics, and that kind of disappointed me, and that threw me off from buying it. I never played it. Just I was like, I had it pre-ordered and everything, and I always wait. I always wait like a week or a few days after it's released so I can see reviews from some of my favorite YouTubers. And yeah, that's what blew it off for me. It's like, oh, dude, the graphics. I do kind of care. I do kind of care. It really depends on like if they're offering 1080p 60 frames per second and say that right up the front. Even if they could do 4K and 60, which is kind of rare only on PC. Um, if they could promise that and fulfill it, dude, that's like you're gonna have my money on that next game because I trust you now.
Right. So Final Fantasy 15 ran into this issue too when it first came out, where
Uh,
they were like, okay, 1080, 60 frames, and then they dropped 4K support, and of course, like you said, they had to drop 30 frames with 4K setting, and there was a lot of people complaining because even before that initial patch that added the 4K support,
uh,
people were not seeing the advertised 60 frames at 1080, and they've had to do subsequent updates to make it work, and now you have options. You can do like the slim, normal, and high end graphical settings from within the game, and if you have a PS4 Pro, obviously, that
right.
allows you to go to that high 4K level. But yeah, it's an interesting thing because there's two ways that I could look at this, I guess. One is the angle you took. Okay, it's kind of false advertising, and that's not cool. We
Right.
obviously want an expectation to be met if you're telling us. Flip side, though, is no matter how much beta testing you put a game through and whatever debugging and all that stuff, there's always so many scenarios that a developer can't really account for. Like, imagine if your PS4 has 2 terabytes of stuff loaded on it and you've got a couple apps running while you're playing the game, but you're
Right.
not a tech savvy person that understands to the degree that that might affect the game performance.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you're going to the internet flipping out saying, oh, the game's not running the way I expected it to, and in reality it's something that you're doing. Or even your internet connection, if it's an online thing, you think it's the game, it's actually just you lagging out.
Right.
So developers, they have a tough time trying to match that. Now I'm not saying that's an excuse that they should just lean on,
Right.
but I'm sure there's some of that going on out there where it's the player base, and it's something that they're doing that they could change. The other side of it, though, like when I first saw the question, is I thought you were asking about, do we care how games look in general? Like when we look at something like Octopath Traveler on the Switch,
Right.
that's a 16-bit HD game that you spend
Oh,
$60 on.
I see what
Uh,
you. Yeah, that's another angle.
so I think people obviously like um, pretty visuals. We want things to be current gen for a reason.
Right.
But I think a lot of people would forgive or happily accept something that's not up to that current, AAA title if
Right.
it's got the story or the gameplay that they like. I mean, we're seeing a resurgence in these remakes and re-releases of old 16 and 32-bit era games because people do. There's an appetite for that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So I
It's
don't
it's a.
think.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's also a good way to get the new generation of gamers, young kids, to get their hands on the games that were fucking amazing that they
Yeah,
would never touch before. You know.
right, exactly. So, I mean, I think as far as graphical downgrades, do we care? No, I don't think as a collective community.
Mm-hmm.
In the context that you were asking specifically, yeah, I mean, we don't want to be lied to. I think that's pretty universal. But I think there's a level of acceptance there that not everything is always going to run perfectly. Sometimes they overshoot what they hope to achieve, and they have to patch it later. And
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15 did a great job with this. They owned it. They're like, okay, we totally underestimated our ability to pull this off, but we're going to make it right. And then they did. So as long as they deliver on it, I feel like it's no harm, no foul, in my
Right.
opinion.
Right. I agree. I agree. But as what you were saying earlier about graphics, like for example, like what would be a good example?
Well, Octopath is probably the most recent big one that I think stands out. As a successful game that's completely reversed back.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Like turning a game into a 2D game again, and you're playing it on your $400 PS4 game. I get
Right.
that. That's it's a whole. It's just another genre. That's all it is. That's how I see
Right.
it. Like
No, that's a good.
I'm not upset about that at all. So some of those games I love the most. You know, there's what was it? Fuck it. There's this one game that I downloaded that was recent and it just felt like Castlevania. You know, it brought that nostalgia and that challenge of playing the side-scrolling game. You know what I mean?
Right. Not Trine. Trine was foresty, but that was
No,
fun too.
Trine was still fucking cool though. You know,
Yeah.
I forgot what the game that I was talking about. It was something Hell Slayer, something gory, dude. It was fucking fun, dude. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Like something gory. It was
It
fun.
was, it was. It's like going into hell and shit and coming
Oh
back.
shit.
Yeah, it was
That's pretty.
actually a really good game.
That's pretty intense.
Something here. Let me look it up real quick. I'll just go into my trophies list. I'll find it there. Um, but as far as like graphical downgrades, as far as what a company promises, like Ubisoft is known for a couple games, but they've been good about coming back about it. You know what I mean? Actually fulfilling what they're showing on their trailers at E3 and things like that.
Yeah, as long as that's the case, then I think we're fine at that.
Right.
It's just the people that come out and release it half, quantity or quality that they said they were going to, and then just say, well, too bad, it's out, and that's that.
Yeah.
Just let it go. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
I found it. It was called Slain Back from Hell.
Huh?
It's actually really
I,
good. You should
I hadn't heard it. I haven't heard of it at all.
pick it up. It's got some hard rock music in the background while you're killing all these monsters. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's let's see. Let's the next topic
Is
is
the animated Diablo series coming to Netflix?
is that something you care about?
I'll be honest, no.
No,
not,
really.
not,
You
not,
never play?
not at all.
I've never played a Diablo game before. If these like okay, so the reason why I brought it up is because Castlevania had
Yes, a great
a
anime.
Netflix exclusive and
And it was a good show if you didn't watch it.
very good show.
Yeah.
Bloody as fuck, and of course that's one of the great things about Castlevania is that it's fucking bloody whenever you kill your enemies and shit. And they brought that into the animated life, and I think they could do the same thing with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely never played the first Diablo and the third Diablo. I only saw bits and pieces of. I did play two quite a bit,
Really,
but I'm not a fan of those games. The loot whoring kind of thing.
the
Which
top down look.
not just that, more the like even with Borderlands, for example, the idea of there's millions of variations of the same pieces of gear with like very minimal differences between them.
Okay.
Uh, that doesn't appeal to me as much because I'm a completionist, so my brain just like freaks the hell out when there's all these like little minute differences. I'm like, what's the actual best thing? Like I can't
Yeah.
figure.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
I actually get a little bit neurotic in a way when it comes to that stuff. So I never really dove headfirst into that series. Now the storyline, I mean, to me, what I know of it, and we might get a lot of hate for this from the listeners, but it just feels like a weak discount version of Castlevania to me. That's honestly the way I've always kind of seen it.
Huh.
So to me, if Castlevania already did it well in both game and TV form,
Right.
what more do they offer? I'm not. I won't. I'll probably check it out, but I'm not like, oh my god, this is the greatest news ever, and I'm excited about it.
Right. 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 Well, I'm actually excited because I wanted more. Like, because so far Castlevania was one of the best animated shows that's Netflix exclusive. I mean, they have them. It's just like I'll try them and like, no, I'm not. It's not working out for me. So hopefully this comes through and I'll have something extra to watch. You know. And
Yeah.
this brings up another question: is like, what would you like to see become an animated series on Netflix or in just in general? That's
Just from the
from a game.
that's a good question.
Yeah,
I mean, most of the games that I play that I really love, they actually do tend to get animated. Like the Tales of series
I was just
typically
gonna say
have,
that.
an animation that accompanies the game. Even Final Fantasy 15 had Brotherhood, the little short 5 episode anime that like kind of led up to the events of the game itself. Um, so let me think about that. Do you have anything in your mind while I'm giving that some thought?
Um, well, you know how they tried to do an Assassin's Creed live action. They could probably do a
Yeah.
better version of it on as an anime. You know,
Ooh, that's a good point. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
because if for example, Resident Evil, they've done it before too, but in CG. They
Yep.
could probably do it in fucking in animation style. You know, like it wouldn't be that hard having the original characters coming back again to voice all the characters that you love, and be good for 10 episodes. That's all you need. You don't need like 10 seasons. You just need a good, bring it to people that have no idea what Resident Evil really is. Even though a lot of people know what it is because of the movies and all, um, which I think are hit and miss.
Oh yeah,
What else
definitely.
could be good? I would like to see a Metal Gear
That could be crazy. That would
because
turn
it's
into like
already a fucking cinematic fucking thing anyway.
right.
You know what I mean? So just put it as an anime. Oh hell yeah, dude!
Yeah, that would be really dope, actually. And it's funny, I thought about something while you were talking, and you mentioned it earlier, Dead Space.
Yeah,
That would be
they
crazy cool
they I
to
think
animate.
they already did kind of, didn't they? With was Dead Space Downfall? What was it called? What was it called?
Was it the thing that came with two? Is that what you're talking about? Like the
I don't
the
remember, but it had like in the title screen or the I guess you could say the poster was just a hand floating in space, all bloody and shit, and it had like a wire hanging off it. I forget what it was called.
I know what you're talking about. I feel like that was just like a little motion comic. Like I don't
I
know.
mean,
I'm from
that's yeah. I think it was a motion comic.
which that to me, like you said, is a perfect gateway because whenever you're talking about gore and violence at that level, animation can get away with a lot more than anything live action ever could. You don't have to censor nearly as much,
Right.
so they could really just go in with that story. And I mean, imagine the eyeball scene and everything
Hmm.
else. Just
Yeah.
they could have some good fun with it, and that I think would scare the hell out of a lot of people. And maybe the people that were too afraid to actually play through the game could stand to watch it and see the story for what it is.
Right. Yeah.
So
It was Dead Space Downfall. That's
yeah,
what it was called.
good memory.
Um. Let's see. What other game would be fucking awesome? I would have to say, yeah, Metal Gear. What else would be good? Um, I don't know. Do you think Final Fantasy would be good as an anime?
Nah, they did it with Final Fantasy Unlimited way back in the day, and it wasn't very good.
No.
And like I said, the anime for 15 was actually pretty entertaining, but it was just meant for the purpose of like let's expose these characters and give you a little bit of backstory to them before the game comes out. It wasn't
Right.
like hey, we're going to tell our own story here. So I don't know. Those games, the way their narratives work, you can't really condense it well into a show. I don't think.
Right.
And if you do, it's either going to be too long, or at that point, just play the game
Right.
if you're going to really do it that way. I think the trick to it, I don't necessarily have another idea specifically, but if you're
Uh
going
huh.
to do it at all, you pretty much need to have something that's not too long of a game,
Uh huh.
on its own, but has enough of an engaging story that you could watch it and appreciate it, like Uncharted.
Yeah.
Like if you took the Uncharted series, all four of them, and made it into a 30 episode season,
Uh,
that could be cool because
yeah.
there's
Well,
enough
each
enough
game would be its own season.
right. And that to me is taking something and just distilling it into its neatest, most digestible form. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right.
um, but that's all I really have thoughts on that topic. To be honest with you, I don't have much else.
Bioshock.
Oh, okay, that's a good. Yeah, that is good.
Bioshock would be a good anime.
And that fits the formula I just said. It's not super long, but it's got a really deep story. It's got a lot of content that you can touch on and give screen time to.
Right.
and not have it feel boring. Like you could keep the pacing where you would need it to be, and just visually that would look awesome. Big
Yeah,
daddies in freaking anime form and shit.
that would be
But
cool.
anyway, last one, last topic, near and dear to my heart in particular, the Final Fantasy composer Nobuo Uematsu, having some major health issues right now. So I made a post about this on my Facebook page as soon as I
I
saw the
read
art.
it. I read it.
Yeah, I know you did, and a lot of other people did as well. And this, to me, just to kind of share my thoughts, uh, when it comes to emotional expression, I kind of suck at it as a person. Like I'm good at surface level stuff, but like when it really comes to like connecting the deeper feelings, usually that's an area of my life that I've struggled in. And for whatever reason, music helps that a lot. Like whether I'm supposed to be, if I'm watching a sad scene in a show and the right kind of, dramatic overture with piano or whatever's involved, like I'll feel like crying. It'll help me connect with that feeling more. Or,
Right.
if it's a tense moment, a boss battle, and the music's just got that tempo, I'm like, yeah, let's kick some ass. Like I'm up and like full of energy and everything.
Yeah.
And this man has the ability to capture that emotion so perfectly in his compositions. And the game series, not just Final Fantasy, but anything he's lent his talents to, has been such an integral part of my childhood. Like I can
Right.
just remember so many good memories. I can even probably tell you what was going on in my life when I first heard, "You're Not Alone" from Final Fantasy IX. Like, and just all this stuff like, that connects to this guy.
Right.
And the fact that I got to see him by complete chance last month at Otakon in
No
DC.
shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he showed up. So the Distant Worlds Orchestra, the show that they do, they're a global panharmonic orchestra that go around and play some of the more popular tracks from the Final Fantasy series. That to see that show, they usually only play at like high end concert halls and stuff, and they're expensive to see. I've always wanted to go,
Right.
and just so happened that they were at Otakon, and your weekend passes got you in for free. So I
Nice.
I paid $95 for the weekend pass,
Uh
so
huh.
I basically got like a discount ticket, to go see it. But he was there, and he doesn't always make it to all the shows, so it was like a big deal that he was actually there with us. He
Yeah.
sang he sang in the chorus of One Winged Angel, the Sephiroth theme song.
Yeah.
Like he got up on stage and like had the whole crowd singing the chorus with him. It was awesome. It was a really great
Ah.
experience. But it's sad to think, wow, what if that's his last show? Like, what if that was the last time that he gets to go out and do something like that? And I hope that's not the case.
Right.
Um,
Same.
he himself has issued a statement saying that he expects to make a full recovery, but it's an illness he's been dealing with for years, and it's just starting to take his toll on him. So
Right.
he's canceled everything just for the remainder of 2018. Is the official statement for now. So
Right.
just a year to give himself some time to recuperate and heal, and hopefully that's all he needs, and he's able to get back on his feet, and we're good. But I mean, either way, the man's a legend, and whenever he does eventually pass away, it's going to be hard for me and I think a lot of other people.
Yeah. 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 His music is definitely influential in many ways and aspects of everyone's lives. And he's done so many fucking games, and I've had a list, and you started back in up in 1986 with some games that I had no idea he was in. Um, let's see, what was it? It was Cruise Chaser, Alpha, King's Knight. This was all in '86. Let's see. Wow, he did Aliens, Alien 2 in '87.
Hmm.
Uh, was it Red Racer? He did some quite a few, and that's when he did his first Final Fantasy in '87. Final
Yeah,
Fantasy '88 and Final Fantasy 2. Let's see, he's done so many games. Chrono Trigger. Oh my god, yeah, totally
yeah,
forgot
yeah.
about that.
He's been a huge influence in the industry. And think again, to work from when you only had 8-bit MIDI files
Yeah,
that you could craft music with, and still, the first three Final Fantasy games were on the NES, and they have some of the most iconic music in the series, and you
yeah,
had nothing to work with. I mean, the man is just brilliant. And then, of course, as technology allowed to actually use orchestrated music and stuff, it just became even more pronounced. But
yep,
he's done so much, and it is kind of crazy when you like list some of those other titles like Rad Racer. I can remember playing as a kid, and
Yeah.
it it's kind of cool to kind of go down that memory lane. But yeah, we'll see what happens, and obviously keep a close eye on that story and his health
Right.
because hopefully he's able to turn around. Like I said,
Yeah, same here. I agree. That's just any kind of health issues for anyone close to family or something that you're just a fanboy of. Um,
what are you trying to say, Phil?
just in general, in anything, like if my favorite writer says, "Hey, I'm not gonna write any more books," it's like, oh fuck, you
Yeah,
dude, it's like your stories, your music, your acting skills, your whatever, just always influences you and your decisions in your life. So like, it's his fault that I got um, to fall in love with Final Fantasy. It's not just the stories, it's the music. Like sound designers, if they make great sound, like you always love Battlefield for their great sound design, and that's the reason why I keep buying them. Not just for the game itself, but that's other reasons. It just stacks
yeah.
on to make your life much more easier to tolerate
It
outside the
does.
box of your house.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because there was an argument made a few years ago about this topic where can video games be considered a form of art? And I think absolutely
Yeah.
yes, because of what you just said. It's not just, pressing buttons and looking at things move as a result of what you're doing. It's a
Mhm.
compilation of several forms of media.
Yeah.
You've got the music, the visuals, just there's an expression in so much of what it does and how that all jives together
Right.
is your experience. And you're absolutely right. The sound and music has a pronounced impact on how the game feels. You could lose all of the impact of a story changing moment if the music is not there or if the
Yeah.
foleying is just awkward or
Mhm.
whatever. So I think people overlook it a lot,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm one of those types where I'm just yeah, I'm listening to freaking video game music while I run on the treadmill at the gym or while I'm working or whatever because
Yeah.
that shit is beautiful and it helps me focus or it gets me
Yeah.
in the right mindset for a challenge or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
And people think it's goofy, but there are other people out there that totally get it too
Yeah.
because they see it for what it is. So,
Right.
but that's our list of topics for the day.
Yep.
But what closing thoughts do we have?
Oh, do I have any closing thoughts? I actually don't.
Well, see you guys.
Well,
That's
I
it.
guess that's it. You bitches can see us next time.
Yeah.
Actually, there is a closing thought. Okay, so I've been wanting to ask you like outside the podcast, but I'll just ask you now. How often would you like to do this?
Oh, dude. I mean, honestly, I enjoy doing these a lot. So, I mean, you seem to make these. What are they? Bi-weekly or
I
monthly?
well, at first when we first started, it was every week. The first
Okay.
4 episodes was every week, basically the same day. Um, but I want to do them every day if I could. But once a week is fine with me.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm interested, but we'll turn the decision over to the listeners a bit. If there are people that are following you closely on the chat or on your podcast and they have thoughts, reach out, comment, whatever you want to do to let us know. I'd be happy to be around. If you guys want to see more of the content like this, then shout it out in the comments section. We can kind of base a schedule around what the listeners want.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, it's recorded, so it's not like it's live. I don't think
Right.
live. I don't think live is going to be a thing for us. So it's going to be recorded. Until I figure out what's going on with the computer, we'll do it live, and we'll ask live questions whenever that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah. I think honestly, I'm pretty sure it might have been my browser. We might be able to experiment with live
Okay.
next time doing it with the system that we're set up now.
Yeah.
Of course, if I move back out to where you're at, then we can do it live pretty easily, sitting
Oh
next to each
yeah,
other.
yeah. That'd be the best way to do it.
All right. Well, I mean, again, I appreciate you having me around for
Of
this
course.
episode, and
Heck
I'll
yeah.
definitely be interested in doing more with you. So,
All right.
once again, everybody, Leo and Mantis, getting ready to head out. Thanks for listening, and have a good rest of your day.
Bye bye, everyone.